Okay, everybody, women docs out there. This is for women docs. There's certain issues that affect women in medicine, and if you're not a woman in medicine, you're welcome to listen because you'll gain some strategies and tools. But I'm Dr. Mary Rensel. I have a business called Brain Fresh, and I focus on women in medicine because that's what I know, and that's who I love to support because they do amazing work. Right? So let's start. This is day 1 of the 5-day challenge. I do it within my business called Brain Fresh, but let me give you a little sneak peek. Okay. All right. So what we're all looking for, practical, quick tools that we can use each day, right? In our busy days. We don't have time for extra stuff. We don't want to do more. We just want to do efficient things, right? And we want to make sure we're taking great care of our patients, of course. But this is really speaking to the women docs, just finding things that are meaningful to them and finding new tools to put into their days to recharge. Okay. So we're busy, we're doing a lot of things. And, at times it can be overwhelming. At times it can be tiring. Times it can be just beyond amazing. Right. I mean, we're so honored to do this work, but yet we have to, put our oxygen mask on first and care for ourselves so that we can still provide care for those that we're experts at caring for. Right. So, let's go. So 5-day challenge. Number 1, it is it's a mindset challenge, right? So a lot of times that noggin upstairs between our ears, it's like a garden, right? It needs to be watered and cared for and just letting it be. What happens to a garden if you just let it be? A lot of times it just gets taken over by weeds, things that you don't want. Other things start growing in there. Things start taking things. The rabbits take over, the moths take over and eat all your cabbage, which is happening to me right now. And so, we have to be intentional about what we want to grow between our ears, what we want to learn, what are our next steps, because, the world's our oyster. We can learn a lot of things. We're really good at learning, right? We're maybe not so good at being a newbie at something. So a lot of times, we are used to being the expert in the room. And so if we're new at something, like I'm learning golf, I'm not good at golf. I'm trying. I'm getting better. I've been playing golf maybe like a year and a half. So I'm way better than my first time. I wouldn't say like if you saw me playing like, ooh, she's good. But I can do some things, but there's still a lot of room to go, and it's uncomfortable. There's a lot of people that are better at me in golf, but that's okay. I'm learning. So we're really good at learning. I'm also doing a push-up challenge for myself. And each month I'm doing 5 more push-ups. So I'm at 40 a day. I try to do it each day. I don't, but I just give myself grace if I miss a day, and I break it up throughout the day. If it's too much, I tend to do it all within, 10 or 15 minutes. So it's getting easier, which is good. It's still not a blast, but I like to get it over with in the morning because I have more energy. So challenges help, right? So that's why we're doing this challenge. A 5-day every Saturday morning, 11 a.m. Eastern Daylight Time. We'll be here live on YouTube. So join me next week for the next 5 weeks. This is the first session. Okay, so what are we talking about here? Well, there's some research. One is in a journal called Medical Image Analysis. It's talking about our connectomes, what the brain looks like. There's another manuscript I'm referring to called from Manser et al. In a journal called Neuroimage. So in that manuscript, he talks about 40,000 people who have volunteered to go in and do functional MRIs and other kind of MRI imaging of the brain, so they can see the different, what they call connectome, how their brain is connected compared to other people. And it's almost like a subway system. If you ever saw like a train or a subway system maps, like nodes, like things come into one spot, they go out from another spot. And so the brain is like that. It tries to be efficient. So there's areas that connect and send it to other areas. And you want to, kind of get in and make it efficient. And the brain actually trims when you're young, so it's not inefficient. But yet the brain has a neuroplasticity, so it can keep helping us learn. So there's so much to learn about the brain, the structure of the brain, and the function of the brain. So in this manuscript by Manser et al., 40,000 images of the brain, diffusion MRI, structural connectivity, how the brain is connected, and even resting state function. So, what happens to our brain when we're just relaxing? Not necessarily asleep, but imagine if you're just kind of chilling, looking out the window, not on your phone. Does that ever happen? So, that's called a resting state, almost like daydreaming state. You're just kind of chilling. You're not doing any kind of focused, goal oriented work, but you're not asleep. Regional connectivity, they call it the connectome. So, your brain has unique structures. It has its own unique connectivity, its own unique like subway system connections, and that gives you your gifts. In this study, they said most people have about 28 strong networks, and they mapped it out in these 40,000 brains. So if you're really good at something, it's probably because of your connectome. It's what your brain is good at, what it's wired, how it connects. So why not live fully in your strength, right? So what we want to do when we're thinking about our brain, we get some brain wonder as busy women docs. How can we keep going and focus? We want to just take a deep breath and just think of that organ between your ears and thank it for being there and all it does. And it's amazing connectome. So it has its own patterns and it gives you what you're really good at. So let's say, we heard a lot about resiliency. Let's be resilient. Let's be resilient. And people got mad about resiliency. There was like a backlash towards resiliency because people were just getting pizza and in healthcare and just said, here's pizza, be resilient. But what does resiliency mean? I read, something, one of the neuroscience manuscripts said, resiliency just means it's better than it was expected. In the norm, you get this result, but it was actually a little bit better. So a person learned and took data and did something with that information. And our brain's connectome can help us with that to solve problems, to see data points and learn from it so that next time we see this, we know what to do or what not to do. So we all have unique connectomes. We have that unique subway map upstairs in our brains. And then we really want to think, how do we use our strengths? And what are our strengths? What are you really good at? Well, one way to know, there's a book that refers to our zone of genius. Gay Hendricks wrote it. And our zone of genius are the things like our gifts, things we really enjoy, and then things that, we're just good at. It's easy for us. Certain things are very easy for you, right? And then just think about, like, what do people come to you for? And what do you not mind doing? What would you do for free? Because you just love to do it. Like, I love setting up craft nights. I love to think about, people sitting around and talking and sharing with each other and telling stories and just connecting. I love doing the art, and I love that we're all kind of doing something with our hands and learning and creating something. Like, I just love that atmosphere. And I would do that, nonstop, because I just love like looking up new crafts and how it could be and watch people do it, because everybody does it their own way. I also love like creating events and things where people come together, and I love to provide neuroscience insight so that it can just help brighten your week, so that you figure out, oh yeah, this strategy would help me if I do X, Y, or Z during the week. So that's why I'm doing this challenge for women docs. Okay, so big question for you. Ready for it? Women docs out there. Do you spend more time planning your vacations than your next 1, 3, 5, 10 years? I'm guilty of that. I love planning vacation. I love vacationing. I love going on vacation. I love being with my family and friends on vacation. So yeah, I do the same thing, but because it's fun. So why not think of this as it's fun and exciting, and it gets like a dopamine up, right? Because you think like, cool, I'm going to go on vacation. I'm going to see something new, something exciting is going to happen. But what if we thought of our like goal setting like that? We said, oh my gosh, we know our brain has these gifts. We know we're really good at plan our next 1 to 3 to 5 years like a vacation, like we would with the enthusiasm of a vacation, right? So just think about it. What energy do you bring when you're planning a vacation? Who are you going to take on that trip? What if we thought about planning our life like that? And we knew we had this particular connectome. We knew we had these networks in our brain, and we knew we were really good at a few things. We're not good at everything. We can't do everything. What would you put in your vacation? So think about it, your path, your journey, and think of it with that enthusiasm that you do with a vacation, because I get a lot of enthusiasm thinking about vacations. Okay. So we all have a connectome. We all have a certain pattern, and that gives us our zone of genius, things that we're really good at. And then we have to stop and just be realistic. Like, do we spend our time thinking about our next 1, 3, 5 years? What do we want in there? Just like a vacation. What do you want in your vacation? Who do you want to be with? Where do you want to go? What do you want to experience? It's time to kind of pause and think about where are you going. Sometimes as women docs, we're just like dealing with the immediate. Like this week, how am I going to, get my nutrition in and sleep and get the family stuff in and get my work stuff done or write the grant or do the research trial or whatever you're doing. But sometimes it's good to slow down a little bit and think about your next 1 to 3 to 5 years, and plan it with the enthusiasm of a vacation. Why does this seem so scary, to think about, excuse me, my daughter's texting me, to think about those next, to plan. That seems like scary or intimidating or not fun or like a drag, right? I don't know. That's how I would used to think about it. But now I'm like, wait, this could be a really fun journey. So why don't we use that enthusiasm like we do when we plan a vacation? Something to think about. So number 1, you have a connectome. Number 2, they're doing a lot of research to figure out connectome and why you're good at what you're good at. Number 3, do you know what your strengths are? Maybe this week you think about what do people knock on my door and say, hey, will you help me with this? Or your friends or your family will always come to you for these certain things that might help you figure out your gifts and your strengths. And it's way more fun to live in our gifts and strengths and put those in our journey of the next 1, 3, 5 years, right? Okay. So we talked about our connectome, how it's like a subway system, how it makes us good at certain things. It's because of our genetics. It's because of our experience. It's because of our lifetime experiences. So we can build skills and still adjust it a little bit. Okay. And one way to know, sometimes if you want it really in more detail, is to do something called Clifton Strengths. So Clifton Strengths is an online program. It's like $20 and it'll give you your top 5 strengths. And why does that matter? Well, it's really great to see your strengths. You probably know them, but once, something automated gives it to you, you take a test for like 20 minutes, go on the Clifton Strengths, the strengths finders, you'll find it online. You are worth 20 minutes. You are worth $20 to figure that out. And then you hang it on your desk. This is what we do in WAG. So I have a women accountability group for women docs. And this is what we do. We figure out our core values. We figure out our purpose. We do Clifton Strengths. And then we have that report. We have a desk side report that we create in our program. That's the first thing, because you have to know what you're really good at. So you know what to say yes or no to, right? Sometimes it's very hard to say yes or no, but it's very easy when you know what's important to you. Excuse me, what's important to you, what you're good at, what your purpose is, right? You got this. Get a little water. Okay, jot a few notes. Okay. So functional MRI, so that's the kind of MRI, taking an image of the brain when the person is functioning. So they're doing something. There's all different kind of functional MRI studies. But we can learn our unique path because of our zone of genius. So there's a great book by Gay Hendricks helping you figure out your zone of genius. Okay, so to figure out your path, you want to know your value, your purpose, your Clifton Strengths. Excuse me. Okay, thanks for your patience. Okay, so our action step. Check out Clifton Strengths if you haven't heard of it. Some people do the Enneagram, so that's another one, but I like Clifton Strengths. 3 times a day, you're just going to say, thanks, brain. Thanks for your connectome. Thanks for the gifts you give me. Thanks for the strengths that you give me. Thanks for the insights. 3 times a day for this week. Okay. And then you're going to high five yourself in the mirror. That's what Mel Robinson says to do. But really just I got this. I have strengths. I'm going to live in my strengths today. And just each morning, little high five yourself. Yes, let's just celebrate our gifts. Not everybody has your unique balance of gifts. And you don't have every gift, but you have your own unique balance, right? Because you have your own unique connectome. So this week, you're going to thank your brain. You're going to figure out your Clifton Strengths. You're going to be grateful for your garden upstairs there that can grow. Just thank it every day, 3 times a day. Just a little brain wonder. It's how can I support it? If it was a garden, what would I give to it? Would I yell at it when it didn't work? Do you yell at your garden when it doesn't work? No, you think about it. You think about the factors that are around it that help it grow. You don't yell at a plant. Do you? Do you yell at a plant? I hope not. Okay. And we don't compare ourselves because we're our own subway system, right? We all have our own unique strengths and we have our own unique connectome. All right, you got this. All right, any questions, reach out at thebrainfresh@gmail.com. If you have any questions about my WAG group, so that's my Women Doc Accountability Group, we have quarterly goal setting sessions. We have monthly master classes. We have weekly touch points. Yeah, and it's just fun. It's fun to be together. It's fun to grow together. It's nice to not do it alone, right? So join me in that, and then we'll do this every Saturday for 5 weeks. It's for women doctors. Who's it for? It's for people who are like, yeah, I know there's more. I don't want to do more things. I just want to focus. I want to find support so I can have an impact. Okay, you got this. Have a great day. Thanks for coming.